Hi everyone, welcome to Pawpaw's Workshop. I'm back in the shop today and I'm doing wood turning. I'm making this brand new item from Penn State Industries. It is a brass hammer kit, and this is the perfect kit to be able to begin wood turning. And today I'm going to show you how to turn this handle, so let's get started. Okay, today I'm going to do another kit from Penn State Industries, and you can request the catalog for free from PennStateIndustries.com, and I'm going to leave a link to that website in the description below to get a free catalog. But today they have another new project that they sent me to be able to demonstrate to you, and it's on next to the last page, and it's this brass hammer kit. And this kit comes with the brass hammer head itself, and it also comes with the insert that would go into it. So the only thing you have to provide is the handle itself, and that's what we're going to be making. The nice thing about this, you can use any type of material that you want to be able to make this, and you don't need to have the mandrel as a normal pen kit does. You can actually cut it between the centers. And what I've chosen to do, I have this old splattered maple that I got a number of years ago, so it's very nice and dry, and it's a beautiful, beautiful grain that's in this. So that's what I'm going to be using to make the handle for this hammer. Now the instructions for this, again, it's very complete, but this is a very simple kit to be able to do. And the nice thing about this handle, it says on here from 1 inch to 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches to 7. This block of wood that I have is actually 7 inches long, so that's going to be perfect to be able to do that. So I'm going to take this over to the table saw and cut it. The only other thing that I need is a 1/2 inch Forstner bit to be able to drill the hole to be able to accept this all thread bolt. The other thing in the instructions that it asks us to do is to take the 1/2 inch Forstner bit and drill the hole 2 3/4 inch deep. So we're going to do that as well. The end of this must be 3/4 inch on the outside diameter, and that's so it will be able to fit into this recessed area here, which is exactly 3/4 inch. And we will test fit that along the way to make sure that it fits. And that's really as simple as it gets. 1/2 inch hole, 2 3/4 inches deep. The stock cut down to 3/4 inch, and then create any shape that you want for the handle. Doesn't get much easier than that. So I think this is going to be a fun kit to be able to do. And again, this is a new kit from Penn State Industries, and you can check this out on the catalog that they have. That's going to be a fun kit to do. To be able to cut this block of wood and to be able to do it safely, I'm doing this in several passes, and you can see where I'm taking just a little bit at a time, raising the saw blade, and then cutting it again. After making a couple of passes doing this process, I flipped it over and then did the same thing again, where I was able to cut all the way through in 2 passes. And this really is the easiest way to do it, and it keeps all the hands and fingers well away from the blade itself. Now to be able to work with this, I need to have a square end, so I'm going to cut that now. Now I bring out the table saw sled, and just using that square end, go ahead and clean up the one edge on the block of wood. Then I'm able to measure over the 1.5 inches, and I'll cut the second piece. Okay, now I've got it mounted on the lathe, and at a very slow speed, I'm just taking the roughing gouge and I'm going to go ahead and shape this up to a round cylinder. To be able to turn this into a cylinder, I do use very light passes, and it doesn't take long to be able to do that with this roughing gouge. As I'm working on making this into a cylinder, I can speed up the lathe and be able to make, again, shallow cuts, and it cleans it up very nicely, and it makes for really a very smooth finish. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just square up the end, and this just takes a second. A couple of passes with the parting tool, and that part is done. Now with the end square, I'm going to go ahead and use a parting tool again, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this shape down to the 3/4 of an inch that I need per the instructions. Now using the calipers, I'll check my measurement to make sure that it's 3/4 of an inch. Okay, that's at 0.76 right now, so we're going to call that good because we'll be able to sand that. So now I'm going to go ahead and shape the rest of this, and we'll use that as a guide. Once I remove most of the material, I can actually start doing the detail work and actually shaping the handle exactly the way I want for the final shape. And I use reference lines to be able to do that. Now that I have the final shape the way I want it, I'm going to take my sandpaper and go through the various grits. Now in this case, I'm going to start with about an 80 grit paper, and I'm going to sand each grit, cleaning in between, and work my way all the way up to 500 grit. Just going to take some alcohol and give you an idea of what this is going to look like. That is some beautiful wood. With the shape totally done and sanded, I want to be able to take the skew chisel now and actually make some decorative rings. And I'm cutting this in actually pretty shallow. And what I'm doing is going to make 3 of them. I'm going to do 2 down here at the bottom, as you can see, and then I'm going to do 1 at the top. And all I'm doing is just lightly putting the skew chisel into the wood. Then I can rotate left and right just slightly to widen the groove. With the tool rest removed now, I can go ahead and turn the lathe on and use my wire that I have to be able to actually burn into the wood for the groove. And the groove actually gives support for the wire so it doesn't wander. And by applying a little bit of pressure, it burns the wood and creates that decorative ring. I think this adds a real nice decorative touch to the handle, and it really takes just a few moments to do, not long at all, and I think it adds an awful lot to it. So you can see the process here. You never want to hold the wire just by itself. That's why I have the handles attached to the wire. Now I attached a 1/2 inch Forstner bit to the chuck and the tailstock, and I have to drill this 2 3/4 inches deep. Now my tailstock only moves 2 inches, so that means while I'm drilling, I actually have to move and adjust the tailstock an additional 3/4 of an inch. And I also need to measure the depth. So what I did is actually set the drill bit into the chuck at the 2 3/4. So as I'm drilling this, I have to be able to go till the wood comes and touches the chuck itself, and that gives me the proper depth. The other thing that's important to do is to constantly back out the drill bit and clear those chips out. So that's why you see me moving in and out with the drill bit. So it's just a little bit of patience of being able to move the drill in and out to be able to keep those chips clear and drilling deeper and deeper each time. I have finally reached my 2 3/4 inch point where the wood of the handle just touches the chuck itself, and that gives me the proper depth. Then I carefully back out the drill bit and have to move the tailstock at the same time to be able to get the drill bit clear of the handle. And there we have it. We're all done. Now the last thing we're going to do before we finish and take this off the lathe is make sure that this fits. So I'm screwing this all the way in, and then I'm going to slip it into the hole And yeah, that fits in there just perfect. So when we glue that, that's going to be just right. And that's what we want to do. So I'm going to go ahead now and clean this up, get it where this black line shows good and clear. I got to get the sawdust out of that, and then we'll be ready to finish this. And what I have here is a mixture of linseed oil and shellac. It's 50-50. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. The nice thing about this, it dries almost instantly, and I can put multiple coats on. Now it's time to go ahead and remove the handle from the lathe, and I'm just using the parting tool, and I'm just going to carve very carefully down through the back of it and make a clean, nice, easy cut. And when it gets down to very small, I can just hold on to it with my hand and cut it away. And there it is. It's now separated. Okay, now that I've got it off the lathe, I'm going to dust it off a little bit. I'm going to sand that tip, and that's ready to be able to put the finish on. With this end grain, that finish will soak in really good. And that looks beautiful. Now we'll let that dry for a few minutes. Wipe off everything else, and we'll be ready to assemble it. One of the nice things about the instructions, this is really designed as a beginner project, but all of their projects do the same thing. They give very detailed directions, and they tell exactly how to turn the blank and then how to assemble it. They're saying here to be able to screw the connecting shank into the hammer bottom and press the exposed shank into the drilled handle to check for the fit. And I mentioned that a minute ago, but I wanted to be able to show you that they do also give you that information. So if you're brand new to wood turning and doing projects like this, these instructions are fantastic because they tell you exactly what to do. And if you do have a problem, before you take the handle off of the lathe, you can remachine it and check and make sure that you do have a good fit. Once you have a good fit, then take it off the lathe, put the epoxy in there, and be able to secure it in place. So these are excellent, excellent instructions to be able to assemble these kits. And I have to say, all of the kits from Penn State Industries have instructions like that that are very detailed and really designed for the beginner in mind. And I went ahead and screwed this in nice and tight. And remember, I checked this on the lathe, but I still want to check it one more time. And that fits in there really, really good. That gives an excellent fit. And that's a perfect size handle. I want to thank Penn State Industries for providing me this brass hammer kit to demonstrate for you. It's a great project. I want to thank Penn State Industries today for providing me this brass hammer kit to be able to demonstrate for you. That was very, very nice of them. The other thing I want you to be able to do is don't forget, you can go to PennStateIndustries.com and request your free catalog from them to be able to get started in this wonderful world of wood turning. They have so many different projects, and it's really quite inexpensive to get started. I'm going to be doing some additional videos on the Penn State Industries. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click the notification with that little bell so that you'll be notified when I upload the videos. So again, thank you very much for watching my videos today.